This video will introduce the nervous system, one of the most fascinating and complex systems in the human body. In this lesson, we'll explore two major components that work together to coordinate all of our body's functions: the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand what these systems are and the crucial roles they play in keeping our bodies functioning properly. First, you will learn to clearly define and distinguish between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Then, we'll explore the general functions of each system, understanding how they work both independently and together to maintain our body's activities. You will learn the components of a reflex arc and the functional divisions of the peripheral nervous system. Finally, we will look at two specific examples of reflexes. These concepts form the foundation for understanding how our nervous system coordinates everything from basic reflexes to complex thought processes. Looking at this simple anatomical diagram, we can see how the nervous system is organized throughout the body. The central nervous system consists of two main parts: the brain, which is our command center, and the spinal cord, which acts as the main communication highway. Moving outward, we see the peripheral nervous system, which includes an extensive network of nerves branching throughout the entire body, along with clusters of nerve cell bodies called ganglia. These peripheral nerves connect every part of your body to the central nervous system, creating a complex communication network that allows for rapid transmission of signals between your brain and the rest of your body. Notice how the nerves branch out from the spinal cord, reaching every region of the body. The nervous system has three main jobs: sensory input, integration, and motor output. The nervous system monitors changes or stimuli both inside and outside the body. For example, changes in temperature, blood pressure, or the sight of a moving object. The peripheral nervous system contains most sensory receptors and the nerves that carry sensory information into the central nervous system. The brain and spinal cord perform integration to process the sensory information and makes decisions about what to do next. Commands formulated by the brain or spinal cord are sent out through the peripheral nervous system to activate muscles or glands, called effectors, to produce a response. An important concept we need to discuss is the reflex arc. Reflexes are rapid, predictable responses to specific stimuli, like pulling your hand away from a hot surface. They don't require conscious thought. A reflex arc has five key components: a receptor, which detects the stimulus; an afferent sensory neuron, which sends that information into the CNS; a control center in the CNS, usually the spinal cord or brain, that processes the information and forms a response; an efferent motor neuron, which carries the command out of the CNS. Finally, an effector, a muscle or gland that produces the actual response. Next, let's break down the functional divisions of the PNS. The PNS has a sensory afferent division and a motor efferent division. The afferent division carries information from receptors back to the CNS. Within this division, somatic afferent fibers carry signals from skin, skeletal muscles, and joints. Visceral afferent fibers carry signals from organs in the ventral body cavity. Special sensory fibers carry input from the eyes, ears, nose, and tongue. The efferent division carries motor commands from the CNS to the effectors. This splits into the somatic motor system, which controls voluntary skeletal muscle contraction; the autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary effectors, smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and glands. The autonomic system itself has two divisions: the sympathetic division, which travels through thoracic and lumbar nerves. This is your fight or flight system, mobilizing energy and preparing the body to handle stress. The parasympathetic division, which travels through cranial and sacral nerves. This is your rest and digest system, conserving energy and maintaining long-term body functions. Now we will look at specific examples of reflexes. The patellar tendon stretch reflex is a classic somatic reflex. When the patellar tendon is tapped, stretch receptors in the quadriceps detect the stimulus. The sensory information goes into the spinal cord, and without involving the brain, the motor neuron signals the quadriceps to contract. That's why the lower leg kicks out. The pupillary light reflex is an autonomic reflex. When light shines into one eye, receptors in the retina send signals through the optic nerve to the brain. The response is activation of parasympathetic fibers that cause the pupils to constrict, protecting the retina from excessive light. These examples show how reflexes allow the nervous system to produce quick, automatic, and appropriate responses, whether it's maintaining posture with a muscle reflex or regulating the internal environment with an autonomic reflex. To summarize, the nervous system detects stimuli, processes information, and responds with motor commands. It's divided into the CNS and PNS, with reflex arcs providing rapid automatic responses and the PNS carrying information in both sensory and motor directions, including voluntary and involuntary control.